Okay. So yes, you have a good, I'll say good afternoon, everybody, and morning and
Stuff.
evening and everything, wherever you
Yes,
are.
and all that, yes.
Yeah. So
Good
Haya was
afternoon.
just going to ask us a question, to discuss maybe a question.
Maybe a discussion. I actually plan to include role play in my activity. Okay. So, but I'm wondering which activities from the drama activity I could implement underneath this role play activity. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you'll need to give us welcome, Sarah Jane. Lovely to see you after a very
Hello,
long
finally.
time.
Yeah.
And I know you just had a chance today. So Haya, can you tell us a little bit more specifics about this?
Yeah, for example, I want to train teacher how to use role play in a classroom. What I
Mhm.
understand from drama, it has a lot of activities or games underneath. For example, telling a story, I can use freeze frame, I can use action club, thought tracking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to use role play, for example, which games could I use underneath
Yeah.
um, this activities? I
Good
hope
question.
I clarify.
No, I completely understand it. So, well, role play could be looked at in maybe two different ways. One is if people are doing it one to one, yeah. And the other is if one person is doing it to the rest of the group. So, for example, as a teacher, if you're telling a story, you could do what we call hot seating, where
Mm.
you pretend to be a character from the story, and the class can ask you questions about why you did something, or as you are in role, you could ask the class for some advice in the story. For example, Red Riding Hood could be asking, should I talk to the wolf? What do you think? He looks a bit scary. Would you talk to him? Do you see what I mean? So that's one example of hot seating. And then another example would be where you take a couple of characters from the story and maybe put the students into pairs or the teachers into pairs and give them a specific situation that they have to act out or improvise. So that would depend on the story. So what do you think
Okay,
about
brilliant.
all that?
This is regarding to telling a story. What about role play? Is it similar? Is it similar to telling a story?
Yes,
Yes, I
because you
think,
take on roles.
yeah. So
Hmm.
if you think, I think telling a story is a really good way to explain what role play is, because every teacher, you can tell the teachers that every teacher already knows how to do role play, because when they tell a story, they change their voice for different characters and so on.
And
Yeah, and
it's still
everybody does that very naturally.
okay, brilliant. Thank you
Um,
so much. I got it.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
do you have is it a well-known story that we would know, or have you chosen one yet?
Um, actually, I'm going to choose from a textbook, secondary school textbook, and the teacher should, because I don't want to train them for extra curriculum. I would like them to use a drama activity based on their curriculum.
Well, that's
Yeah, you
fantastic.
said yes.
So we will choose the story from the textbook. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You can
really.
always expand, you can get the kids to expand the story. So you take it, what I did with last 2 years ago, I was in a school and they wanted me to do drama about injuries, and there was a chapter in the textbook about injuries and how to deal with the injuries and stuff like that. And because their English was terrible, so it was quite hard to do.
Same here.
Yeah. But what I did was I took pictures of it was a big picture, and then I took a screenshot, and then I took sections of the screenshot and made them into separate pictures, and then gave the kids, printed them on A3 and got the kids to draw some more characters around it and say what the characters might be saying with speech bubbles and stuff. And that was quite fun, you know, if you want to write something, get them to write a story and then actually perform it, you know. And I sometimes also make A3 laminated speech bubbles and thinking bubbles, and then I get each group to write something on it. And so you could do it either way. You could start with the big speech bubbles, or you can do the drawings first. I don't know what your kids take to. It depends what they like, I guess.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. It's a good advice, really. Can I use guess who I am, or guess the emotion in a role play, for example?
Yeah.
Or it's
because
just
then
Imaginarium?
No. You can do that. You can start Imaginarium, and then you can say, okay, so which character were you playing? And then they can improvise it maybe, or you can help them to improvise it. You say, so what's your story about? And you go around, if they can't write it themselves, go around and ask for a short story. Tell the short story. You can record it, and you take the recordings home and you write it, and then you get them to role play.
Lots of great ideas there. That's really good. Jenny.
It is.
Another example could be if you're using emotions. I've played a game called Emotion Party, where each child has an emotion and the rest of the class have to guess what that emotion is. For example, you know, to like build on that. Or another good improvisation game is a game called Park Bench. I don't know if any of you heard of it.
It's lovely. I love it. Yes.
That's another good one where
it's very funny.
You've got a bench of either 2 or 3 young people on seats, and they just role play different characters, and they can sometimes come in as dogs or as cleaners to clean up the park bench, and so yes, there's that as well, which is quite fun.
You can use status for that. You know, you do a status game with them. If you have playing cards, you give them a playing card, and that tells them what their status is. And then you set them down and you say, okay, you're reading the newspaper, you're having lunch, and the person with the highest status tries to take the whole bench for themselves. Yeah, something like that. It's a lot of fun.
It is. I like it. The issue with me is just because when I try to write it down, I should classify each activities underneath a big title, like for example, improvisation, freeze frame, 10-second objective, like that. And I want to try to write in my chapter, methodology chapter, I have to explain these activities, what is it and how I am going to use it and why I'm going to use it. Yeah, that's the issue. I feel confused because I don't know, role play, is it a title in itself, or there is some activities underneath?
It's a description of a technique or a way of being in a way. So it's not an activity, it's more an aspect of drama. So it's an aspect of character.
And you can explore the character in different ways.
And if you think about it, you can explain to the teachers that role play is the most natural form of drama, because before children come to school, they naturally role play. So when they play mummy and daddy, or doctor and nurse, or bank robber and policeman, you know, all of those, they are all just role play. So if you take the word role away, it's playing. It's like
Excellent.
playing different people.
Yeah.
And role is simply another word for character. So it's a French word. So, you know, you could just call it character if you wanted to, if that's easier.
Yeah, thank you so much for this informative information. You solved my problem, really. I was
Excellent.
struggling a lot.
That's what we're here for.
Thank you so much.
Talking of the French language, welcome back to Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
And who is at least bilingual in her country. So, Sarah, have you got any news to tell us what you've been up to, or life a crazy
just
thing?
before the March break, my grade 4 students performed their plays in front of parents. So this is the second time that I have done that, because before that it was COVID, so everything was just recorded on video.
Yeah.
Last year, remember, I shared I was a little bit anxious about doing that. So this year I felt a lot more confident, but I think I bit off a little more than I could chew, because I always struggle with a class play, because if you choose a script where there's too many kind of minor characters, I don't feel like all my students get the chance to really experience what it's like to be in a play. And then, you know, it's hard to find a play that has, you know, 19 characters that all have significant amounts of lines. So last year we did the Chinese Zodiac, which worked out well because class only had 14 kids. So I had 2 and 12 animals. It was perfect. This year I have 20, so it was a big class. So I decided to divide them and have them do 2 separate plays. But unfortunately, so we went through the audition process, and they had to choose which roles they wanted to audition for, and they all had to go through auditions, and then I gave them feedback and I assigned their roles. And so that was really interesting for them to go through that process. But I must admit the rehearsal was a bit hectic. Because in at that age, they're 8, 9 years old. It's very difficult for them to be independent in rehearsal. So it was a lot of sort of squabbling, and he's disrupting, and he's not doing that, and she's talking to her friend, and she's being silly, and so it was a little bit difficult. So I think it took us a little bit longer to sort of perfect things than it should have. But what I ended up doing at the end was, we have a resource teacher who supports children with learning differences. And so I just spoke with her and said, you know, for the last couple of rehearsals, how would you like to be our guest director?
Okay.
And so she was very flattered. She loved that. And so she came in and helped with the group that was progressing very well, just to kind of keep them on track and focused. And then I supported the group that was having a harder time. So we did our dress rehearsal. The other thing is that my school has a junior school and a senior school. And of course, the senior school always gets all of the facilities because they're the senior school. So we don't have access to the theater very often. So I have a drama room. I'm very lucky to have that. But we don't have access to the theater because the senior school drama teachers won't let us in there. So I had to ask special permission to get in. So we went in for the dress rehearsal, and they bombed. It was terrible. And they did really not very well. And I think they were maybe just scared. It was sort of an environment they weren't used to being in. And so my head of department was there to kind of give them feedback. And I was devastated because she said to me, like, I'm sorry, but like, this is not acceptable. How can you expect to show this in front of parents tomorrow?
Oh my God.
So I was like, oh my God. Anyway, so I wrote a couple of messages home to some of the students that were particularly struggling, and just sort of said, you know, if you could practice a little bit tonight just to boost their confidence and make them, that would be really helpful. Anyway, the next day they killed it. They did a great job. I'm so proud of them.
Good.
Yeah.
So I think it was just maybe nerves the day before.
Yeah,
but,
it must be.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, it's crazy.
really,
it's crazy that the secondary school doesn't let them get in
Yeah.
there earlier,
yeah.
and they're bound
the-
to find it intimidating.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was also good for me because my head of department is an actress. Drama is
Okay.
her sort of domain, whereas I'm an English teacher, so drama is
Yeah.
not is not really my and I teach French as well, but so it really also showed to me sort of our differences of philosophy.
Yeah.
So, my philosophy of drama is really helping kids to gain confidence, helping them to explore a different side of themselves, helping them to sort of look at things from a different angle. Whereas she's really sort of more focused on the performance side of things. And so it was a bit shocking to me that she would make that comment that it wasn't appropriate to show that to the parents. And I thought, of course, they're adorable. Whatever they do, their parents are going to be.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
Anyway, so I was really pleased that they did so well, because I think it was really good for them to have that positive feedback from their parents. And the parents, many of them came up to me and said, how did you get grade 4 students to memorize that many lines? And they were really impressed with the plays that we did.
There you go.
Yeah. And the plays were very cute. So in grade 4, we do animal masks at the beginning of the year. So we learn how to interpret basically like a human character with animal traits. So
lovely.
They're
That's really
learning
good.
how to kind of move like animals. Then we do the play afterwards. So I always choose a play with animal characters so that they can use those skills that we've built in the first. So the first play that we did was called Fred the Skunk. And it was about judging people on their appearances. So none of the animals want to be friends with Fred the Skunk because he's a skunk.
He smells. He smells. Yeah.
And so all of the animals kind of reject him, and he's feeling really sorry for himself. And then the squirrel has a birthday party, and the skunk saves them all because the bear comes out of hibernation and decides that he's going to eat all the animals. And so Fred the skunk comes out and says, no, you can't eat these animals. They're my friends. And so he saves the day, and then they all decide to be friends with the skunk. Because they decide he actually had some redeeming qualities. And then the other play we did was about it had sort of an environmental theme. So there was a little girl trying to trap a butterfly in a box, and the butterfly decided that she was going to betray the barrier between humans and animals and let the human girl understand her and explain to her why she shouldn't trap her and that she's important for pollinating the flowers and doing all that kind of thing. And then there's an owl character who's kind of the wise old owl who guides this little girl through her journey of discovering all the animals in the forest and why they're important and why we should respect them. And so at the climax is a standoff with the hunter who's trying to hunt wolf, and the little girl
where does that story come from?
So both of these were scripts that I got from Drama Notebook.
Yes, I know it. Yeah,
it's good, isn't it?
Yeah. They have great scripts. They're very funny and entertaining, and what I like about them is that they're not sort of old-fashioned. They have ideas that are
quite up to date.
Yeah.
When you were talking
and
about...
that the second play was very interesting because it had a lot of audience participation, which the grade 4s, I was so impressed with their confidence because they had to come up to the edge of the stage and they just say, okay, audience, you need to do this now, and we're all going to do this together, and sort of got everybody going. And it was really fun because as I said, I divided the class into 2 groups. the group who wasn't in that play was able to get the audience going, which because they knew
Oh,
the
great. Yeah.
play fun.
Like a little pantomime.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds really
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the skunk character, it reminded me of this character. Do you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
I haven't.
Anansi. I don't know.
Anansi. So Anansi is a spider character, a trickster
Oh, yeah.
character from African folk tales.
Yeah.
There
Okay.
are lots of stories on the internet available. You can get books and so on. And once upon a time, I did produce a whole play which was devised based on some of these stories. And
Okay.
he is basically a lazy spider character. He's half spider, half man,
Okay.
and he
Okay.
just doesn't want to do any work. So he just finds lots of ways to trick other animals, and he often plays tricks on the tiger who wants to catch him, you know. But those are great fun if you ever want
Sounds good.
some
No,
inspiration.
we do an oral storytelling unit in grade 5, and so I've read some of those stories as part of that.
Yeah, no, they're
Mm.
great.
Yeah. Nice.
There's one where he's in the field and he sees all these different melons growing, and he thinks, oh, they look delicious, and he manages to creep in through a little hole in the melon, and he just starts eating it and gorging himself, and he gets so fat that he can't get out of the melon. And then it goes on to a sort of long journey where eventually I think that maybe something like the melon rolls down the hill and explodes and he escapes. But it's, yeah, lots of really fun stories like that with Anansi.
Sounds great.
Hi, Jan.
Hello, she's here.
Welcome. Just a couple of thoughts that I had before this meeting. Before we started, Josse contacted me and told me about a game called Diddly Dee, which is in this book, Drama Games for Exploring Shakespeare. And I think it is a game that we could try out. And I also wanted to tell you about a new course that I'm running, which is not an online course, though. It's happening in the UK. It's a 2-week course, and I thought I'd just tell you about it anyway. And then also, if there's time, there's another game I found that looks really fun called Guess Sticulate, which comes from this book, which is the same series as the Shakespeare one, and it's about using drama games in rehearsals. So
I
those
might get that one too.
two, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what the time is. So maybe we could try out one of those games to start off with. And how about Diddly Diddly Dee, which sounds like a fun game. So Josie, I've read all about it and how to play it, but I wondered, have you already played it? In which case you could lead it with us if you wanted to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. I played it last Friday with my kids, and I told them it's the first time I've ever played it with anybody. So if it goes wrong, never mind. But what I did was we went around the circle saying it, and then I told the kids to find a partner and to do diddle-dee-dee, diddle-dee-dee. So one person says diddle-dee. So David, how about you and me? Okay, diddle-dee, 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 diddle-dee-dee. Oh, sorry, my fault. Start again.
What I'm going to do, actually, Josie, is just write it down in the chat.
Yeah, okay.
Because it sounds a bit weird. It's basically nonsense language.
Yeah.
But
Poem.
if I it goes diddly dee,
Diddly dee.
diddle. I can't spell properly.
Okay, diddly dee, diddly dee, diddly diddly diddly.
I'm terrible. Diddle, diddly, diddly,
Diddly dee.
diddly, dee.
D.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have a look in your chat. It says, so
I'm trying to find
we
the
could,
chat.
well, I'm gonna read it out, and you could try and join in with me before we then break it up. I think that's easier. So if you've got it there, you can join in. It goes diddly dee, diddly dee, diddly 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 dee, diddly dee, diddly dee, diddly 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 dee. Okay.
Right.
Now, obviously,
then-
there's a bit of a time lapse, so don't worry.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like it was in time. But let's go back to Josie. So the first thing you do is you make it into a kind of call and response. So let's try that, Josie. You start.
Do you want me to say the first thing and everybody else says the next word? Okay, so I start and you guys say. So I say diddly, you say D. All right, 1, 2, 3. Diddly,
D,
diddly,
D,
D,
diddly,
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 D.
D.
All right, right. And so then you go faster. And then I split the kids up in pairs and said they had to do it in pairs like that. And then I told them to go and move. It says in the book to do this, to move around the room, saying it, but pretending you're having a conversation about breakfast. What did you have for breakfast? Because these kids' English is terrible, so I can't give them really difficult stuff to do. So I said, well, let's just do that, you know, and it worked. And the next lesson, we're going to do it in fours. We're going to have a conversation in fours. That's much more difficult. Anyway,
So,
let's try this.
Yeah, let's just take the first part of that. So the breakfast part.
Yeah.
Do they literally do it in the same way as we did?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Could you demonstrate or show us?
Okay, so Jan, you do D, I do diddly. Okay, diddly,
D,
diddly,
D,
diddly,
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 D,
diddly,
D,
diddly,
D,
diddly,
diddly,
diddly.
D.
Yes. Okay, so I had a lovely breakfast there.
So, but I didn't really get an impression of what anybody had for breakfast.
No, so we have to project our thoughts a bit better.
So you have to kind of maybe act it out as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So we try that again, maybe with the same two, because that worked. We could hear it really clearly, and if we can make it a bit more, you know, acted out.
Okay. Diddly.
D.
Diddly.
D.
Diddly.
D. Diddly.
Diddly.
D.
Okay, that was much better. Yeah, that's really fun. I think if you give it a context like that, it's and the idea, of course, is to get children used to speaking verse or rhythmic prose. Which obviously is used a lot in Shakespeare.
But also because Shakespeare's words are so strange to people. So it's good to, you know, like a total nonsense poem, make it sound like it means something. Yeah. So, I mean, this is a bit like doing an ensemble reading where you have kids reading between punctuation marks. And I tell them they're not allowed to skip, you know, they're not allowed to have a pause in between. So you have, I can't think. I have to have a script. I'm so tired, I can't think. Anyway, so you might have 2 words between a punctuation mark and another punctuation mark or a whole line. And so if you have a whole line, you have to say the whole line. So I've already gone through the iambic pentameter, so the rhythm of Shakespeare's language. But this has also got a rhythm. But, you know, they don't know what it all means. You know, if you do your ensemble reading, in fact, what happens is that the kids start to understand the script much better because they have to pay attention really well because they're not allowed to leave a gap between one reading and the next. So it's got to be read like one voice and it really works. And so next time, as I said, what I'll do is I'll have 4 kids doing diddly dee and talking about dinner.
Okay. That's great. So in the book, there's another exercise that you can do in 4s, and I'll just read it out because that will make it easier to explain. Ask the 4 players to move through the space and deliver the rhyme as if it's a conversation and see what characters emerge. So you give them, just ask them to move around and say it and see if they can start to create out of nothing some kind of characters and situation.
We didn't have
could
enough
also
time to
give
do that,
them
but I will do it.
emotions, couldn't you? You know, you could perhaps say, could each character, maybe if they were doing it in pairs to start off with, each person should think of an emotion. We could try that. So how about Jenny, and welcome Marta. Would you like to play this, Marta? I'm not sure if you were there at the beginning.
No, I was late. I'm sorry.
Or maybe if we play it with somebody who's been here. How about Jenny and Sarah could have a go. And what I want you to do is each just think of an emotion, and you're going to say the diddly, say it like diddly dee, diddly dee, diddly 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 dee. But each of you will have whatever emotion you've chosen, and at the end we'll try and guess what your emotion was.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good way.
Okay, so Sarah, don't forget to unmute. And how about if you start? What have you both got one? An emotion? It can be anything. That's not important. And we'll try and guess. Okay.
Okay, so do I start?
Yeah.
Okay. Diddly.
D.
Diddly.
D.
Diddly.
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 D.
Okay. What did anybody get from the emotions?
I think Sarah Jane was a bit cross.
Yeah. I thought that too.
I was frustrated.
Okay. And
frustrated,
Jenny, I think she was a little bit cross as well, I thought.
But she was
seemed like
more...
she was a bit short-tempered. Wanted to get on
angry.
Angry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously it works better if you perhaps have some emotions on cards or something like that.
Okay.
To give out to the kids. But that would also work.
Or status.
So it's quite a simple game. That's it, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can easily adapt it in different ways.
You can use status, I think, as well.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could have, I mean, another way might be, I don't know if this would make sense because I haven't tried it, is that you can say diddly or dee at any time and just have a conversation. And you might go, diddly diddly.
Diddly dee.
Diddly dee dee dee.
Diddly dee, diddly dee.
Diddly dee 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 dee. So you could, yeah, that might be fun. Just to, that would be a different way of really using nonsense language in that way, isn't it?
Yes.
Which is always great fun for the kids. Okay. So, Marta, welcome. We've just had quite a long sort of discussion about various things, including role play and hearing about putting on plays based on different stories. And then we played this game. And I've got another game that I'd like to try out, which is from a book called Drama Games for Rehearsals.
I need to get that.
And I think we could play this online. The idea is that if you're playing it with a class, you split them into 2 groups, half and half, all right? And they go to opposite parts of the space, and one group decides on a word, and you could give them a category, for example, an emotion, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very simple. Group A have their backs turned while Group B are deciding. And when they're ready, Group A turns round and everybody in Group B tries to act out the emotion to Group A. And whoever is the first person to guess it correctly can choose the word for their group. So the other group has a go.
Okay.
Emotions is the simplest way of doing it.
Mm.
You could have something really abstract like peace or water, or
Okay.
you know. So that might be quite, again, it's kind of a warm-up game, a little bit of improvisation. So what we could do is maybe we've got enough people now to have two groups. So maybe Josie, Sarah, and Jenny could be in one group, okay? And Marta, Jan, and Haya could be in the other group. So what I'm going to do to start it off, I thought a good way of doing this, because you can't like discuss which word to use without the others hearing easily. You could do it in the chat, but to make it quicker, I'm just going to write a word down and show it to the first group while the others look away from the camera. All right. So I
You
think
could
that
do it in the chat. You could do it in the chat. Why
yeah,
don't you
but
do
this is
that?
like instant.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I don't have to type it 3 times to different people.
No, that's true.
It's a
You
bit
can copy
fiddly.
it. Copy and paste.
I promise.
So could I'm going to call Marta, Jan, and Haya Group B, and the others, Josie, Sarah, and Jenny, are Group A. So Group B, can you please either cover your eyes or turn away
Oh,
from?
I see. That's for us. Okay.
Yep. No, Sarah, you need your eyes open. Yeah,
You
Sarah.
are in my group, Sarah.
Marta, you should cover your eyes. Haya, you should cover your eyes. Maybe it was easier with the chat. Okay, I'm going to choose a word. All right, and right, okay. First category we're going to have is animals.
Okay.
All right, Group B, you can turn round now. And I forgot to say, Josie, could you switch off your microphone? Because everybody should be muted. There should be no sound. All right. And we're going to see who's the quickest to guess which animal was chosen. Okay, Marta, Jan, and Haya, you can all guess. If you want, you could switch on your microphones. Okay, so after 3, Jenny and Sarah Jane and Josie are going to act out an animal. 1, 2, 3.
Gorilla.
No.
Monkey.
Yes. Well done, Marta. You were the first person to guess. So it was a monkey. All right. So you were close, Jan, but we were being a bit specific. All right. So that's good. So if we were playing this in the drama studio, it would be Marta's turn to choose a word. Have you got a piece of paper there, Marta? And a pen?
It has to be animal.
No, it could be, let's take a different category now. Let's take okay, this is in the book, to take a country. So I want you to write down the name of a country and you're going to try and communicate it to the others. So Jenny, Sarah, and Josie, can you close your eyes or look away from the camera? And Marta's going to write something down. Make sure it's keep it still. Can you take it back a bit and hold it still? Or maybe bring it forward? Can everybody read it? Haya, can you read it?
No, I can't. I can't read it, and I can't see other
Wait a second.
participants.
So I'm going to send a message to Haya to tell her what it is.
No.
No, you have to get it. Oh, I saw it then. For some reason, it's out of focus.
It's
Okay.
blurred.
But I sent it to Haya, so you know what it is now, don't you?
Yeah, I
And
know.
so the group, you can look now. Josie, you can look. So after 3, this is a much harder one because it's a country. Okay. Yeah, it's a challenge. After 3, Marta, Jan, and Haya are going to try and act it out. 1, 2, 3. This is really hard.
Brazil?
No, but kind of close-ish. It's a really hard one. Let me see. What else could we do?
Mexico?
See,
Mexico. Yeah.
yes, Mexico. Well done. That was a really hard one.
I got
you
it
had
because of Jan's taco.
Jan's taco. Okay, perfect.
I actually said Mexico, but I muted myself. Idiot that I am.
Okay.
Yeah. Great
All
minds
right.
think. Great minds think alike. Right.
Yeah. So, all right, that is that game, and you could do it. What it says here, you could also do it with a theatre focus. So you could, for example, have a genre. So it might be like romantic comedy or slapstick. Yeah.
Okay.
You could have characters from a play. If the group was studying a play, then they have to choose a character. That's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the others have to try and guess. And of course, it's quite competitive. So whoever guesses the character first can choose for the next time. It also even says writers, but I think that's probably for like older secondary
It depends. It really depends. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even names of plays if they know a few plays, or books, of course. Films could be famous films, couldn't it?
I think this game is really like theme focused. So, for example, if the kids like teaching English as a second language, if the kids are focused on learning the specific words like the animals, fruits, so it's really a good game to practice.
Yeah.
Review.
Yes.
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a simple guessing game, really, but it's quite fun.
Yeah.
Because it's done in groups. So it means like you've got the support of everybody in the group. You don't have to do it on your own.
And also the whatever it is, it gets magnified because 3 or more people are doing it. So you can watch different people doing something.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
How big could the groups be?
I think they could be like 20 in each group. Could be really big. Yeah, so it could be any, as many as you like, really. Because I think that it's a little bit like a playground game, Yeah. And the kids could even play it on the playground as well. They could play it afterwards. One thing that I thought I would just talk about, unless anybody has any questions or issues that they wanted to bring up, I will get on with this idea then. So I was looking through this book that Josie mentioned after I looked at Diddly Diddly Dee, and on the next page it's got a game called One Line Express.
Oh yeah.
And that's the same game that I've got on our course, which I call Lines, 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 where you take a line from a play and you say it in lots of different ways. Well, I won't go through that game because that's going to take some time, and it's all on the course page anyway. But there's one thing here which I learnt about when I studied with some of the people who wrote this book. So the book was written by a group called the Shakespeare Schools Foundation, and I worked with them for a period, and some of the games in here have got ideas that I brought along, but I am not credited in the book. I am not paid for it, but I don't care, because the way I look at it, most drama ideas are all floating around in the universe anyway, and they come from lots of different places. But one of the things that was really useful is something which is called circles of attention. So I'll just put that into the chat so that in case my words get lost on the internet, circles of attention, like that, okay? And the idea is that if an actor is speaking, they have different circles of attention, or you could perhaps call it focus, going on. And the first of these is really nice exercise, is you ask people to imagine they're holding a candle and they should speak only to the candle without blowing it out. So you can do this if you like. So you imagine you've got this candle in front of you with a flame, and you choose a line. I'm going to choose diddly dee for now because it doesn't really matter. So it goes like this. So I just speak to the candle and I mustn't blow it out. Diddly dee, diddly dee, diddly diddly, diddly dee. So it's very, very quiet. And that's the first circle. If you imagine a circle around the actor, so that is literally like this. It's almost to themselves. Yeah. So an actor could say their line in that respect. And then you could get them to, if they've got that line, they choose somebody else. Let's imagine there's someone just over there and they're saying the line to another person. So I say, diddly dee, diddly dee, diddly 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 dee. Obviously you can do that with them in the studio. So we've got the candle, we've got the person, and then the next circle of attention is to everybody in the room. So, you know, imagine you all do this because you're all teachers, you know, diddly dee, diddly dee, diddly 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 dee. Okay, so that is your third circle of attention. And your final circle of attention is that you are delivering the line to the gods in heaven. Diddly dee, diddly dee, diddly diddly diddly. I'll stop there because the neighbors might wonder what's going on. But yeah, you get the idea. So that's a really simple thing to teach to kids and to get them to practice saying a line within those different circles. And you could make a diagram, you know, so you could just have 4 concentric circles. And the first one, you could draw a little candle in one part. The next part, you could draw a person. The next one would be a group of people. And then the next one would be maybe the sky, a cloud, perhaps. So they're speaking to the heavens or to the gods. And then, of course, you can play around with lines and work out which circle of attention suits a line. And you can also change. I'm thinking about this because I'm thinking of a line of how I can do it. You can change circle of attention while you're speaking the line. So it could go, oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. You know? So a line from Hamlet there. But that idea of, you know, there might be a part of the phrase which is just to the candle. The next part is to a person. Do you see what I mean? It's really simple. And And it's a really clever way of teaching students how they can perform lines in different ways. Any questions or thoughts about that? I must have explained it really well. Yeah, so that's how you do it. So circles of attention, and you could use it with any other drama activity really. You could use it with diddly dee. So with the diddly dee game, we've got status, we've got devising different characters. What else did we have? We had, I'm sure there were some other things, talking about a specific situation like breakfast, and then you could try out the circles of attention. Right. Any other thoughts or questions about what we've just discussed? I can see some things in the chat have appeared. Oh, Jenny tells me it's adapted from Stanislavski, and she's absolutely right. Well spotted. I had forgotten that. Yeah, it's a long time since I read Stanislavski, which was when I was in my 20s. So, yeah, you're right. It comes from that. And it's a very useful technique. And you will sound really knowledgeable if you start off by saying, now we are going to learn a Stanislavskian technique. So that will make you sound like a proper drama teacher. Yeah. Okay, so you know, that's something else to play around with. And what's great about the Shakespeare games and the Shakespeare Schools Foundation is they have all these different ways of breaking into scripts and helping kids to get to grip with different scripts. One of the other ones is the Laban, where you've got different ways of moving, heavy and light, slow and fast, direct and indirect. And you can also use those, as you may remember, we played this game before, where, for example, you get people to make a direct and heavy move, like a punch. So they all practice doing a punch into the air, and then you get them to say their words with each punch. So with that, it would be diddly dee, diddly dee, diddly 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 dee. Or you could get them to make a slow and indirect move, which would be a little bit like a wave or a floating motion. And when they say their line, it would be more like diddly dee, diddly dee. So that's a great way to work with kids because it works from the body. By the way, Marta, I have to say, great hat.
Yes.
At the school, we have something for, you know, like Disney characters. So I'm the evil queen.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I
I'm a
see.
witch.
Yes, you are. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, you've been wearing that all the time, and I've got used to it. So I forgot you were wearing it after a while. Well, that sounds really fun. Anybody else want to share anything? We've got 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left.
I
David,
just
did
wanted
you?
to... Sorry.
Oh,
Go,
yeah.
go, go.
Sorry.
Go, go, go.
David, did you say you had another course coming up that you were going to tell us
Oh,
about?
thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I do get a bit carried away when I'm doing drama, so I just forgot to share this with you. So let me show you this course. So this is happening in Norwich. Can you see my screen? I think you can.
Yes.
And it's called Creativity with Young Learners. It's a 2-week course that I'm doing with another teacher. And she is called Griselda Beacon. She's from Argentina.
Okay.
And we've worked together before in Norwich, because we both work for a school which is called the Nile School. It stands for the Norwich Institute of Language in Education. And she teaches drama, but she's really a very creative teacher who uses art and storybooks to and explores them through art and through drama, but with a focus on language learning. So we're doing this 2-week course. It's happening in August. Where's the date? Yeah, the 5th to the 16th of August. It's a Monday to Friday for 2 weeks. And we will be taking it in turns to teach. Sometimes we'll be teaching together. And in the afternoons, there are lots of activities for people who are taking part. And we usually have people from Europe, but from many other countries as well, who come over, and there's accommodation can be provided as well. Usually they have accommodation. It's not cheap. It costs quite a lot of money, so you would probably need to be sponsored. But maybe you might know people who would be interested. And we've never done this course before, but we have got all these things that we're going to do, which is here: developing personal language awareness through art and play, drama techniques, bringing storybooks to life, using props and puppets, using poems and rhymes, teaching grammar in unusual ways. We're going to be dancing and singing. Basically, we're going to be having a real whale of a time. I'm really looking forward to it. And what I'll do is I'll put the address of the website into the chat. So I'm going to do that now. And I'll also put it on the video when I share this video. Oh, I sent that to Just Hire. So I'll send it to everyone in the meeting. There we go. So, yeah. Anyone coming over to Norwich then for that course?
Sorry.
I wish I can attend before going to train other teacher.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you who is coming to Norwich, and that is Yan Zhao, because he is going to come over in July.
Jealous.
And we are planning a whole week of drama together.
Yeah.
So
I want to be there, but
she's
I wish
bringing
to be there.
6 or 7 students and their mothers, and we'll be doing drama every day, all based on Matilda by Roald Dahl.
Oh, great!
Oh, wow, great!
Nice.
So
they'll love it.
When we have finished that, we'll have lots of drama lesson plans and ideas to share with you about what we do.
Definitely.
That is my daughter's favorite story, and she just got a little tattoo of, that has to do with a quote from the story.
Oh, wow.
Really?
It looks like you pointed to your bottom when you said that.
It was just her kind of side.
Oh, right.
A little boat, because there's a line from the story that as she's sort of gaining her independence from her abusive family, they describe her as a small boat heading out to sea. So my daughter came home this year, so she got a little boat that she's going out to sea.
Lovely. Wow, that's amazing.
Like Matilda.
Yeah. So it's all happening in Norwich in July and August this year. I'm going to have a great time. Right, guys, that is an hour. And thank you very much, as ever, for coming along and sharing ideas. And, you know, as you know, I'm always up for people to write to me beforehand or bring questions and suggestions to the meeting. And that's what I like the best. I like to hear what people are struggling with and then see if we as a group can come up with ideas to help. Right. Thanks, everybody. And Sarah Jane, I'm not sure when we'll see you again because you're normally teaching at this
Hopefully it
time.
works out. It just happens in my schedule that I teach first period almost every day. So, and we have an 8-day tumbling, so it's my bad luck.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great having you here and everybody else, and we'll see you very soon.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.